Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our 8th annual State of the City Luncheon. We are thrilled to see you today. I'm Allie Rauch, President and CEO of the Opelika Chamber, and we are grateful for your attendance and support. Mayor Fuller has generously agreed to come back every year and give us an update on the place we are proud to call home, Opelika. As you can tell, the lunch buffet is open, so we are going to take just a short break to give the blessing and to recognize some of our guests, and then you'll get back to your meal and we'll start the program shortly thereafter. We have many special guests in attendance today. Of course, our guest of honor, Mayor Gary Fuller and his lovely wife, Laura. Give them a round of applause. We are also thrilled to welcome Congressman Mike Rogers, who took a break from D.C. to be with us. Thank you, Congressman. Joining us from the state, we have Senator Randy Price. We also have Representatives Jeremy Gray, Joe Lovern, and Bob Fincher. Our Opelika City officials, Council President Eddie Smith, President Pro Tem Erica Baker-Norris, Councilman George Allen, Councilman Tim Asia, Councilman Todd Rauch. We're also blessed to be welcoming former council members and former mayors. We have the Honorable Patsy Jones, Tiffany Gibson, Dozier Smithy, and former Mayor Barbara Patton. We're also welcoming a neighbor, serving on the council in our neighboring town of Auburn, Opelika native Jay Hovey. Thanks for coming today. He's at the buffet. County officials, we have District Attorney Jessica Ventieri, Commissioner Richard LeGrand, Revenue Commissioner Oline Price, and of course, one of our county officials who is serving double duty today, as also our chairman of the board for the Opelika Chamber, Sheriff Jay Jones. I'd also like to recognize the Opelika Chamber Board of Directors. If you serve on our Board of Directors, if you could please stand and be recognized. And then, of course, we also have our 20 under 40 class for 2021 to 2022. If you could please rise and stand and be recognized. Truly, thank you all for what you do. Today's State of the City is brought to you by our presenting sponsor, ESG, with over 900 employees and 29 city and county locations located throughout the Southeast in 7 states. ESG Operations Okay. Today's State of the City is brought to you by our presenting sponsor, ESG. With over 900 employees and 29 city and county locations located throughout the Southeast in 7 states, ESG Operations takes a professional managerial and engineering approach to its public works and utility management services. The Opelika ESG Partnership is a true model for public-private partnership thanks to Director Mike Hillier and his exceptional team. They manage all facets of the city's public works department, including the management, operations, and maintenance of the city's wastewater treatment facilities, collection and distribution system, cemeteries, grounds, vehicle fleets, road and storm drain repairs, traffic signals, maintenance on all city buildings, the list goes on, and maintenance on all sports and recreation fields. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, ESG, for all you do to support not only the City of Opelika, but the Opelika Chamber as well. Let's give them a round of applause. We also want to thank our gold sponsors. We have Baxter International, the City of Opelika, and Point Broadband here. And our silver sponsors, Himmelwright, Huguley, and Boles, H&S Commercial and Industrial Supplies and Services, Max Credit Union, Opelika Observer, Railroad Investment Group, and Tigertown TV, who is also blessing us today and making this available via live stream. So this is being streamed to the Opelika Chamber Facebook page and YouTube channel, as well as Tigertown TV's Facebook page and YouTube channel. So thank you all. If you're a sponsor, please wave or stand and be recognized. I'll now ask Pastor Lisa Pierce from Alabama Rural Ministries to please come up and bless the food. And then after the prayer, feel free to enjoy and talk amongst yourselves. We'll start the program momentarily.
Good morning. And Mayor Fuller, I'm always glad that you come sit in the shack with me. So if you don't know what that means, you can ask him. But if you would pray with me. Lord God, we thank you for the gift of this day and our gathering to celebrate the past year and envision what is next for the city of Opelika. Through wise, bold, and yet humble leadership, we have experienced continued growth in such difficult times. Lord, in an age of constant disruption and volatility and uncertainty, our leaders have surged forward, inspired by your divine guidance, and we give you thanks. We pause. Our COVID-19 losses have been great, and every single person is a tragedy. We give thanks for East Alabama Medical Center and the courageous medical staff and support who work tirelessly to care for the sick and dying and to see people healed. We give thanks to our first responders and government agencies, for the businesses, nonprofits, schools, and churches collectively working together to better our community. Opelika is a city with vision, and we reflect upon achievements and some even items that have failed, but we look forward with hope and anticipation. Father, we're grateful for a city that cherishes all of its people. We desire that all of our residents not only survive but thrive. We consider our least and lost and last as Opelika not only grows wider but deeper. Lord, as we share this meal together, we pray a blessing over the mayor, the city council, our first responders, and all government agencies stewarding our infrastructure. We all seek your heavenly guidance to act with integrity, respect, honor, and compassion with all dimensions of our community. Continue to unite us and bind us, O Lord. May we be an example city, not only in our gig technology, but in how we treat those on the margins. May we a city with its leaders on the watchtowers to guide it, to look after its people like a shepherd, and to seek prosperity of all. In areas where we see brokenness, may we be a city of restoration. May we be the city that is looked at as the repair of broken walls and restorer of streets with dwellings. Lord, thank you for this meal that we receive. We ask your continued blessing as we share and fellowship and reflect in your grace. In Jesus' name, amen.
If I could get everyone's attention. Hold on a minute. I'm standing here as sheriff. Give me a second. Hello, I'm Jay Jones. I'm the chair of your Opelika Chamber of Commerce, and it is my pleasure to introduce our speaker for the day. I'm going to tell y'all a story, if I may, Mayor, if you'll indulge me for a minute. And I hate to do this, I'm going to date myself a little bit. Okay, there used to be this TV show, it was on just a few years ago, it was called Gilligan's Island. And in the opening credits of the show, while the music was playing, you know, when the show's about to come on, they had this one scene where this boat, the boat that they're on, that they get lost, and y'all that know what I'm talking about know the story. Anyway, there's a picture in the wheel of the ship, you know, just spinning. Nobody's at the wheels, what I'm getting at. Well, I'm using that as a metaphor to say that our speaker has not been in that situation because his hand's always been on the wheel. As a matter of fact, they were going to approach him to be the star of the show, you know, the captain on the Gilligan's Island, but they realized it wasn't going to work because he wouldn't have got lost. And would have kept things headed in the right direction, which is a pretty good summation of our Opelika mayor, Gary Fuller. His hand's been on the wheel, things have been headed in the right direction, and we haven't gotten lost. Matter of fact, we found a lot of great things as a city, and it's due to this man's leadership. Before becoming the first five-term mayor, City of Opelika, Gary Fuller was president and CEO of Fuller Broadcasting Company from 1985 until he sold the company in December of 1998. And under his leadership, his radio stations received numerous awards and accolades for community service and local news coverage. In fact, in 1988, WZMG and WKKR became the first stations in Alabama to earn the National Association of Broadcasters Crystal Award for community service. And they don't just hand those out, folks. You've got to earn one of those bad boys. Mayor Fuller is also founder of Gary Fuller Consulting and the managing general partner for Fuller Properties. He began his public service by serving on the city council from 2000 to 2004, was first elected mayor in 2004 and re-elected in August of 2008, re-elected unopposed in 2012, and then won the 2016 election with almost 80% of the vote. And that's, as they say in the political business, strong. Most recently, he's re-elected to his sixth term in August of 2020. Our mayor has led this city with an emphasis on being good for business, and growth and prosperity of this great city has been incredible as a result. And I would indulge you, if you will, to please help me welcome my good friend, Mayor Gary Fuller.
Laura, did you record that? That's pretty good. Thank you, Jay. I know some of y'all are expecting me to tell some stories. I told Congressman Rogers that I had to modify my act a little bit today because Laura Fuller is here. She was not here last year. I reached out to Opelika Police Chief Shane Healy, and I said, Shane, I'm trying to find some good stories that I can tell at the State of the City on Friday. And I want it to be a true story. So here's one that Shane told me, and I just share it with you, that came directly from Chief Shane Healy. And before I start, I've already apologized to Allie, and I'll apologize to Laura Huguley and anybody else that's blonde. This has to do with blonde-headed women. Both of y'all are exceptions to this. All right, I'm going to tell it just like Shane told it to me. 3 blondes were all applying for the last available position on the Texas Highway Patrol. The detective conducting the interview looked at the 3 of them and said, "So y'all want to be cops?" And the blondes all nodded. The detective got up, opened a file drawer, and pulled out a folder. Setting back down, he opened it, pulled out a picture, and said, To be a good policeman, you have to be able to detect. You must notice things such as distinguishing features and oddities like scars and so forth. So saying he stuck the photo in the face of the first blonde and withdrew it after 2 seconds. Now, he said, did you notice any distinguishing features about this man? The blonde immediately said, yes, I did. He has only one eye. The detective shook his head and said, of course he only has one eye in this picture. It's a profile of his head. You're dismissed. So the first blonde hung her head and left. He then turned to the second blonde, stuck the photo in her face for 2 seconds, pulled it back and said, what about you? Notice anything unusual or outstanding about this man? Yes, he only has one ear. The detective put his head in his hands and exclaimed, didn't you hear what I just told the other lady? This is a profile of the man's face. Of course you can only see one ear. You're excused too. So she walked out of the room. Well, he turned his attention to the third and last blonde and said, this is probably a waste of time, but he flashed the photo in her face for a couple of seconds and withdrew it and said, all right, did you notice anything distinguishing or unusual about this man? The blonde said, yes, I did. This man wears contact lenses. The detective frowned, took another look at the picture, began looking at some of the papers in the folder, looked up at the blonde, and with a puzzled expression said, you're absolutely right. His bio said he wears contacts. How in the world could you tell that by looking at his picture? The blonde rolled her eyes and said, well, hello, with only one eye and one ear, he certainly can't wear glasses. And I apologize to the blondes, including you, Lee. Thank you all very much for allowing me to be mayor of this great city. It's certainly been my greatest honor and privilege to work for you all. I knew the first day on the job back in 2004 who the boss was, and it's still true today. The citizens of Opelika are the boss. It's always my pleasure to celebrate our successes, and we've had many over the past year, and to look ahead to the projects that we're planning long term. Through the hard work of our city council, our great employees, our businesses, our partners, and most importantly, you, we have much to be proud of over the last few years. The Sportsplex, Opelika being Alabama's first gig city, first-class pre-K classrooms, a new library, a new police and municipal court facility, a new fire department headquarters building, renovations to Opelika High School, a beautiful new facility for Opelika Power, and plus 4,000 new good-paying jobs and over 2,000 new single-family homes. So together, we've done a lot. But folks, we can't rest on our laurels. There's much more to be done. As P.T. Barnum once said, comfort is the enemy of progress, and I agree. We have to continue to be future-focused and look to where we'll be in 10 or 20 years from now. Infrastructure and transportation must be at or near the top of the list. Getting folks from point A to point B so they can work, shop, go to school, go to church, enjoy leisure activities is critical to maintaining the quality of life that we all love here in Opelika. Now, before I move on, I want to honor Dr. Robert Lofton. We're so grateful for Dr. Lofton's time on the City Council. This good man served with integrity and with a proven love for Opelika. Thank you, Leila, for sharing Robert with us. We now welcome Tim Aja to the council to represent Ward 3. Tim will have big shoes to fill, and we're confident that he's going to make a positive impact on our community. Opelika saw another record-breaking year in 2021, which included growth and progress in all economic sectors: residential, commercial, retail, and industrial. In the industrial sector alone, we recorded more than $160 million in capital investment, 580 new jobs with a combined payroll of more than $26 million. Lori Huguley and her economic development team have been extremely busy. In addition to their recruiting of business, they're focused on workforce development efforts to support this new growth in our existing companies. It's critical, y'all, that we have highly trained and skilled people to fill those positions. Our residential development continues to grow stronger each and every year. New residential housing permits reached highs that shattered previous records. And new housing developments are being constructed to house the growing workforce in Opelika. Sometimes folks ask me, why are they building all these new houses? The short answer is because folks are buying them. But the reason they're buying them, folks will move to a place for a good job and for great schools. So we have good jobs and we have great schools. So that explains a lot of that. Among our commercial retail sector, we were excited to welcome Whataburger, their first Lee County location near Tigertown. You know, they must have known something, y'all. I go by there one day and they tearing down that old Charlie's building. I said, I thought that was a good building. It wasn't for Whataburger, and apparently they know what they're doing. They sell a world of hamburgers. Of course, Tigertown grows. Pepperell Village is flourishing. They added Brick and Spoon, Zen Steak and Sushi, and various other retail stores. Out at Capps Farm, they announced Quick Trip location at Exit 58. Bonnie Plant opened its beautiful new headquarters, bringing 60 jobs to Opelika and an investment of almost $8 million to our community. Mando, Cumberland Plastics, Joanne Stores, Pharmavite all expanded their businesses in 2001, and Hanwha Cimarron announced an investment of $130 million and 261 new jobs. We're extremely fortunate to have industry that continues to invest in our community, whether it be a new company or an expansion. It says a great deal. You know, when companies expand, that just confirms what most of us already know, that this is a great place to live and a great place to do business. And of course, historic downtown Opelika. Gosh, Allie, what a big event last Friday with not only the food trucks, but all of our restaurants. There were so many people downtown. It was wonderful. Now, it's the goal of our city to be good stewards of our financial resources as we provide quality services to our cities. We saw some impressive numbers. In 2021, we budgeted $126.4 million in revenues. We beat that a little bit. We had $143.8 million. Our sales tax accounted for $42 million, property tax $4.8 million, other tax $1.6 million, business license fee, atta girl Lily, $4.9 million, occupational license fee $13.9 million. Our residential development set an all-time high record last year. 488 new single-family home permits at $118 million. 168 new multifamily permits at $23 million. There were 28 new commercial building permits at almost $20 million. And Jeff Koppelman and his inspection team processed 1,126 permits with a total value of $193 million, and they completed over 13,000 inspections. In addition to those residential projects, Matt Mosley and his planning staff, along with the Planning Commission, reviewed 27 conditional use cases, 11 rezonings over 131 acres, approved 20 preliminary subdivision plats totaling 1,375 lots, and 20 final subdivision plats with 1,031 lots. Y'all, we're not near finished building houses. We're going to keep building houses. Matt and his crew also completely revised the sign regulations in the zoning ordinance. Also, it's significant that planning kicked off a new long-range comprehensive plan to help guide the city over the next 20 years. The first phase of that included in-person meetings and questionnaires to understand where we'd like to grow, and then of course the plan will wrap up this summer and fall with a final plan to be presented to the City Council and to the community. We also adopted a rental registration and inspection ordinance. We felt there was a need to protect the public health, safety, and welfare of the occupants of residential rental dwellings in the city. The Building Inspection Division is responsible to enforce this ordinance, and it will ensure that the approximately 4,500 rental units in the city will meet minimum standards for dwelling units. Building inspectors will inspect these rental units using a simple checklist to assure building, electrical, and life safety. And if you'd like to know more about that, you can visit our website. The Opelika Police Department continues to develop and grow their Together Opelika campaign. Y'all, there's rarely an event in town that I don't see our officers out interacting with citizens. They participated in more than 200 community events this past year. They've received positive feedback from the community, other agencies, and the Attorney General for their programs and involvement. So much so that other agencies have begun to adopt similar practices and programs. In 2022, OPD plans to continue educating the community and building a relationship with young folks through the Opelika school system. A second major focus will be officer development with the goal of helping officers be the best they can be so that they can better serve our community. Chief Huguley, I'm proud of what you and your team are doing at Opelika Police Department and the culture that you're establishing. Thank you very much. Now, the police department also had 79,401 calls for service, completed 10,700 certified training hours, 8 officer promotions, 9 service awards, and 11 police academy graduates. Now, we're always trying to improve the way we communicate with our citizens, and the OPD app is a great way to learn more about their programs. And they also recently pushed out a citizen survey. On your table, there's an OPD report card, and they can scan the QR code, and that'll give you a chance, I think, to get, that'll get them on the site. Lee, is that what it does? Good. In addition, Lee Creeling and the Community Relations Department implemented a communications tool back in September. Connect Opelika puts city information directly in the hands of residents through smart text messaging, web chat, and interactive text alerts. Residents can receive immediate answers to questions, make service requests, and personalized messages, and get real-time alerts anytime. Now more than ever, we think it's important that we make it a priority to find ways to improve emergency and non-emergency response for our residents. Connect Opelika gives us another opportunity to meet people where they are. We're also working to upgrade and revise the city's website. The Opelika Fire Department, boy, I tell you, Chief Shane Boyd come rolling in here, and they have really beefed up their interactions in the community. They launched several social media platforms that will allow them to update the public on everything going on with Opelika Fire. They also participated in some 300+ community outreach programs. Chief Boyd and the fire department has been making improvements, whether it be new equipment or additional services, spending more time in the community and enhancing their training. This past year, Opelika Fire responded to 5,810 emergency calls, 605 pre-fire plans, 95 fire drills. They completed 10,000 training hours, did 196 business inspections, tested and painted 1,100 fire hydrants, and issued 442 burn permits. We recently purchased a new ladder truck and 3 new pumpers that will allow us to modernize the fleet by March of next year. And we're also looking to add our first additional fire station in more than 40 years, which will bring us to 5 total by the summer of 2023. Opelika Fire redistributed call response to better manage emergency response and to make sure that the closest approximate apparatus responds to your emergency every time. All frontline apparatus now respond to medical calls in their district, ensuring that help arrives as soon as possible. Fire department was also had a lead role in our citywide automatic external defibrillator program. We've installed 114 new AEDs across the city. Now, with the assistance from the City Council, the fire department made major improvements to their training facility. We now boast one of the premier training facilities in the state, and we were awarded those efforts with a partnership with the State of Alabama Fire College as the newest regional training center designation. Now, lastly, Opelika Fire also was welcomed into the Alabama Mutual Aid System as a response team for disasters statewide. That will allow us to access even more training and some additional funding for technical rescue improvements we can use right here in Opelika. Thank you, Chief Boyd. I appreciate what you and your people are doing. Sam Bailey, Parks and Rec. Sam right here on the front row. You didn't want to miss a word, did you, Sam? They've made quite a few upgrades of their own. There are now outdoor restrooms at the Sportsplex, a paved parking lot and walking track at Shady Park. We completely fenced Ray Ward Park and installed restrooms. Covington Rec Center renovation was completed, and we installed a rain garden at the Wood Duck Nature Park. And soon we will have 24 covered pickleball courts. And I personally want to thank Point Broadband for their generous donation toward the new courts. I saw Taylor Nipper here earlier, and I also saw Al. There's Al and there's Taylor. Thank you, guys. We appreciate y'all. Our Parks and Rec hosted 13 major tournaments, which brought in several thousand players and spectators to our community. Y'all, not only does that give us great exposure, but it really is good for our restaurants, our hotels, and our retail stores. So, Sam, we're fortunate to have a great Parks and Rec department that provides such great programs. Speaking of great programs and opportunities, have you been to the new library? Wow. Isn't that is magnificent. Rosanna McGinnis and her folks proudly opened the doors back in October of last year, and the community has enthusiastically responded. There have been dramatic increases in foot traffic, library card holders, and materials used, and you may soon see staff around town on the library's new book bike. And I want to give thanks to Rosanna McGinnis for not only the great work she does with our library, but for taking on the Victorian Front Porch Tour. And then Rosanna was our key volunteer with the vaccination clinic that we did with the City of Auburn and East Alabama Medical Center a year ago. Rosanna, we're fortunate to have you. Now, here's some stats at least showing about the library. Over 57,000 visits in the first quarter of this year. That's October, November, December. Added 951 new library cards, circulated a lot of material. As I mentioned earlier, infrastructure improvements are vital to maintaining a good quality of life. We have to continue and design roads and intersections for the future. Scott Parker and his team have been working diligently. We're currently replacing the bridge on North Uniroyal Road. Tiffany, I know you'll be glad when, where'd Tiffany go? Yeah, you'll be glad when that's done. A lot of folks out there. We're making industrial road improvements at West Fraser and at the Co-am on Industrial Boulevard, Walmart, and Joanne Distribution on North Park Drive. Y'all, we've been wearing it out on building sidewalks. We did all of South 4th Street. We're now over on North 10th Street. We've put down miles of sidewalks, and we still have a lot more to do. Engineering-wise, we're also preparing to install a new roundabout at Sportsplex Parkway at exit 64. Todd, that'll be good for me and you and Eddie. Get folks to quit calling us, and maybe it'll cut down on the crashes out there, and folks can figure out, you know, when you get in a roundabout, folks, just keep going right. To whenever you want to get off, you can. We're also going to put a roundabout at Veterans Parkway and Academy Drive. The roadway extension should soon begin with Veterans Parkway, continuing from Pepper Parkway to Cunningham Drive, meeting up with Thomaston Drive from Gateway Drive at Cunningham, and we've been talking about this for a long time. In addition, a road will be built to access the new industrial partner of Hanwha Cimarron in the Northeast Industrial Park. And ALDOT, and I want to thank Senator Price and Bob and Joe and Tom, whoever was responsible, I know Randy was involved, on widening and improving I-85 at exit 60. That was absolutely the worst interchange in the state of Alabama. But they're working on it, and it's going to take a while longer, but we're also improving, got some improvements coming on Columbus Parkway, which will improve that flow there. Denise Rogers, our municipal court administrator, recently kicked off the city's first forgiveness program. That was on February 1st. It will run through March 31st. It provides an opportunity for those with certain municipal court charges to clear their cases without concern of being physically arrested. And it's important for folks to know how we do municipal court. There are ways for those that are less fortunate to do community service and educational programs that are available to help anyone who cycles through our court. And those same opportunities will be available for those to take advantage of it. We also, municipal court gave more than $15,600 in a SIN credit in lieu of fines and costs for individuals who successfully completed the Ready to Work program at Southern Union State Community College. And I appreciate Pastor Skip Long and Greg Lakefold and of course Todd Shackett for working with us and with our court system on doing that. And most recently, they have been working on a partnership with the Child Care Resource to implement the Steps to Hope Fatherhood program. And that's an incentive-based program that serves fathers of all ages and is designed to empower them to be the best person and parent that they can be. So the Steps to Hope program utilizes a comprehensive, multi-agency team approach to family support. The Fatherhood Coordinator will work collaboratively with Opelika Municipal Court, the participant and partnering agencies to achieve collective impact. Probation Officer Tara Bryant reported a total of 25 people completed the Ascend Ready to Work program. 91 completed the pretrial diversion program, and 157 are currently active in the diversion program. And we're getting on down toward the end now, folks. Hang on. We've gotten out there on Fox Run now. We're at OPS. We welcome Brent Poteet as Director of Opelika Power Services. Back in November, Brent was already on the OPS team, and since being promoted, he's already begun making positive improvements. Because of our residential growth, OPS added 544 new electric customers and invested over $2.5 million in new infrastructure. They carried out several additional industrial and city projects and upgrades. We completed mutual aid assistance after Hurricane Sally for both Robertsdale and Riviera. Now they're working on a new website, they're improving social media, and very soon the council approved recently Brent's request for some electric charging stations. So the council approved that. We'll be constructing those. Brent and his crew will in the near future. We recently formed a partnership with Dr. Nathaniel Dunlap on a financial health initiative. And for more information, please call Jessica Samuels at Opelika Power Service, and Jessica can help you get in touch with Dr. Dunlap. It's an excellent program. We're grateful for Dr. Dunlap and for working with us. Environmental services. Terry, you hadn't gone to sleep, have you? Not yet. Okay. Opelika Environmental Services now has 1,400 curbside recycling customers. Now, there have been some changes in the recycling centers on 8th and Jeter. You can find details on our website. OES continues to focus on safety and customer service, and they continue to upgrade their fleet to be able to better serve you. With the addition of National Village, Royal Park Estates, and new home construction, Opelika Environmental Services added 1,000 new homes this year. So, Terry, I want to thank you and your team for the great job that you do to keep Opelika clean and beautiful. Mike Hillier. Boy, thank you, Mike, for sponsoring this. We recently renewed our agreement with ESG, the managing entity for our Public Works Department. This has been a public-private partnership that started back in 2005. This past year, they completed over 38,000 work orders across all city departments. And I want to express my appreciation to Mike and his crew for the great job that y'all do. A lot of times Mike is my go-to guy. Of course, Joey mostly is my go-to guy because Joey's real easy for me to find. He's next door to me, but sometimes I'll crank up and find Mike. And ESG and Mike, they do a terrific job. They operate all of our cemeteries, the auto shop, grounds, streets, storm, building maintenance, repairs. They manage our wastewater plants and sewer collection, take care of our street signs and traffic signals, building maintenance, as well as park and rec field maintenance. They cover a lot of territory with a wide range of duties, and we're certainly grateful for their partnership. Now, before I wrap this thing up, I do have two more quick true stories for you. I know Patsy Jones wants to make sure that she hears. Is Bill Trent or Joseph Dean, either one of them here? I was thinking about what about Jeffrey Harris? Anybody from Peterson or Williams? All right, I've named all the funeral homes. And I don't think my friend Bob Fucci is here today, or my friend Joe Champy, both Italians. The Italian funeral. A Jewish man was leaving a convenience store with his espresso when he noticed a most unusual Italian funeral procession approaching the nearby cemetery. A black hearse was followed by a second black hearse about 50 feet behind the first one. And behind the second hearse was a solitary Italian man walking a dog on a leash. Behind him, a short distance back, were about 200 men walking in single file. The Jewish man couldn't stand the curiosity. He respectfully approached the Italian man walking the dog and said, "I'm sorry for your loss, and this may be a bad time to disturb you, but I've never seen an Italian funeral like this. Whose funeral is it?" He said, "My wife's." "What happened to her?" "Well, she yelled at me, and my dog attacked and killed her." He inquired further, "But who is in the second hearse?" He said, "My mother-in-law. She came to help my wife, and the dog turned on her and killed her also." A very poignant and touching moment of Jewish and Italian brotherhood, and silence passed between the two men. The Jewish man then asked, "Can I borrow the dog?" The Italian man said, "Get in line." All right, before I wrap this up, Brother John entered the monastery of silence. And the abbot said, "Brother, this is a silent monastery. You're welcome here as long as you wish, but you may not speak until I direct you to do so." Brother John lived in the monastery for 5 years before the abbot said to him, "Brother John, you've been here 5 years. You may speak 2 words." Brother John said, "Hard bed." "I'm sorry to hear that," the abbot said. "We will get you a better bed." Another 5 years passed. Brother John was called by the abbot. The abbot said, "You may say another 2 words, Brother John." "Cold food," said Brother John, and the abbot assured him that the food would be better in the future. On his 15th anniversary at the monastery, the abbot again called Brother John into his office. "2 words you may say today." "I quit," said Brother John. The abbot said, "It is probably best. You've done nothing but complain since you got here." Y'all, listen, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Allie, thank you in the chamber for allowing me to come and speak to you. You know, we're all in this together, and I've been working with Lee Creeling on the Serenity Prayer, and it means a lot to me in how I try to conduct myself each day, and so I want to recite, and many of you know it, but a lot of folks don't know that second and last verse, which to me is even more important. I want to close with this prayer for serenity. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardship as a pathway to peace, taking as Jesus did the sinful world as it is, not as I would have it, trusting that you will make all things right if I surrender to your will, so that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with you forever in the next. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Fuller. What great words to live by to close. Thank you so much. We appreciate your leadership and the direction you have given us in the city, and your commitment to making Opelika such a friendly environment for entrepreneurs and business owners. We look forward to continuing to work with you through the remainder of your term, and of course, welcome you back to the stage again next year. On behalf of the Opelika Chamber Board and staff, I want to thank our sponsors one more time for partnering with us to bring this annual event to our community. ESG Operations, Baxter International, the City of Opelika, Point Broadband, Himmelwright, Huguley, and Boles, H&S Commercial and Industrial Supplies and Services, Max Credit Union, Opelika Observer, Railroad Investment Group, and Tigertown TV. We're so fortunate to have your commitment as we build a better Opelika and serve as champions of our business community. Let's give them one last round of applause. I also want to thank my staff at the Opelika Chamber for making my job so easy. I've been asked numerous times, are you stressed? Are you worried? I am not at all, because I've got a great team that works very hard. Mackenzie Poole, Leadership and Events, where are you at? Up there, still working. Ashley Colquitt, our Director of Operations and Engagement. You can wave. Lindsay Womack, our Director of Communications and Media. And our newest face, Ms. Catherine Olin, our Marketing and Membership Coordinator. Thank you all for joining us today. I have two final announcements. One, someone dropped their sunglasses, so if these are yours, they were up here in this vicinity. Actually, they were right behind you, Terry. So they're in this vicinity if they're yours. Come see me. And then I desperately need to know how many people, how many jobs are available in this community right now. So if you are hiring, either open up your phone right now and email me, Ali, A-L-I, at opelika.chamber.com. Email me the number of jobs you're currently hiring for, or come see me at the stage at the conclusion of today so you can tell me that. You would just be doing me a huge favor, and since I have a captive audience, why not ask right now? Thank you again for joining us. Please don't hesitate to contact us if we can help you in any way. Please visit our newly launched website at opelikachamber.com to participate in our upcoming events and programs and to explore the many resources we have. We'll see you next time.